Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our weekly webinar hosted by Reveres Academy and the Cambodia Chamber of Commerce, curated by Up Your Game 2016. Today, we are presenting Attract Customer with a story. We are glad to have Mr. Imran to be here to speak to us on it. So in this webinar, he will tell you how to use many stories to manage objections and inspire your client, and how to use story to attract clients, and how you would be able to use this skill set in any given occasion. So without further ado, let us welcome Mr. Imran. Yep.
Right, thanks so much for the introduction. Hey guys, I'm really excited to have everyone here to join me early in the morning, on a Friday morning, to join me for this session. And like I said, today's going to be a very special day. We're going to be sharing about how stories can actually improve your relationship with customers and actually attract potential clients to buy something from you or join and service your business. Let me show you my slides really quickly. First of all, my name is Imran from the Thedigitalbros. I help with digital marketing, storytelling, conversational marketing, and a lot of what I do, we need to rely on creating stories to attract clients, literally, because whatever marketing methods that you use, you realize that it all centers around marketing with stories. If you don't have a story to tell, you cannot sell. Let me give you an example. So this guy, his name is Rob Walker, and he actually sold horse heads for this inspiration for today. So Rob Walker plus horse head is our inspiration today. So what am I talking about? So this guy, he actually bought this particular horse mask for 99 cents and he sold it back again on eBay for $62.95. So how was that possible? Is because he actually used a story to sell. What he did was, there was one fine day, he had a brilliant idea. He spent about $120 on eBay finding toys, discarded items, and he collected them all, and then he called up all his writer friends. He asked them, hey, can you guys write a story for each of these items? And when they did that, he listed all of them back on eBay, the same items that were thrown away. He listed them on eBay, and the profits skyrocketed. The profits were crazy because their story made the audience feel emotionally attached to the items. They actually were willing to pay much more. So it's a very simple example. The horse mask without a story was 99 cents. The horse mask with a story was $62.95. So that it means that you're going to attract clients who are willing to pay a premium because you are able to tell them the value of your item, your product, and services. Now, I want to try to do a very simple experiment to see how well you are with interacting with me on Zoom. Can we do a simple experiment? If you know annotation, at the top of your screen, you can test out annotation. You can actually write down your name. How many of you are familiar with Zoom? If you go to the top of your screen, you will see this icon where you can write down, annotate. If you can't get that, maybe you can type in your name at the side so I know that you're here. So I believe some of you are trying out. Okay, not bad. Okay, no worries. We'll have a quick, it's quite important for us to get used with these tools because later on there'll be some interactive component where I need us to know how to use the annotation tool, but no worries at all. Let me move on. So I want to ask you guys 3 facts about me I want to share very quickly. I'm actually from Singapore, which I think most of you already know that. And the second fact is that I've actually been to Cambodia for 3 times over the past year for projects. And the last fact about me is something very random, is I'm 1.87 meter tall, which is way above the average height of most people in Asia. And I've been to certain places like Phnom Penh, Siem Reap, Tebong Kemom, the village, the city, the towns, and it's really, I love how the village, how you can spend time in the village, eating local food, and also back to the city, where you see all the high, tall buildings. So I still miss Cambodia, and I think once the flight restriction is lifted, I can't wait to go back there again to visit some of my friends. Do you guys have questions for me? What do you want to know about me? I'm going to give you guys about 2 to 3 minutes. You can share questions either in the chat, or you can either write them out here or type them out here. It can be any questions at all, because I feel like if I have to share everything about myself, it's going to be a one-sided conversation. So I'd rather hear something from you instead. Okay, while you are trying to figure out what question to ask me, I'm going to share a little bit quickly some facts about me. I've been traveling around Southeast Asia, sharing stories, educating companies, organizations about how they can use stories, how they can actually grow their community, their tribe, and also rely on digital marketing to grow their presence online. And if you look at this particular photo, it's a bit special. Okay, this photo here. This was photo with me and a tuk-tuk driver in Phnom Penh. So he brought me to all the local, the tourist spots, the killing field, all the good dining areas. So he brought us around for a few days, and amazing how he can bring me squeeze through all the busy roads. So this was taken it was about last year August. We went to Cambodia, and he was our guide, bringing us everywhere. So it's quite an interesting experience, and I really look forward to going to Cambodia again to visit him and all my other friends. For today, time-wise, we're quite tight, but I want to make sure that this session is really productive. That's why I might go a little faster, but we're not going to skip all the good stuff. That's why I'm going to narrow it down to 3 main objectives. I want you to know that for stories, you can't just be telling stories randomly. I want you to have an origin story, because origin story is a story that starts all the conversations that will establish that relationship with your customer. And I'm going to show you guys the impact storytelling framework. Now, impact story framework is what I call a simple formula which you will use to address your customers' objections. And a bit of a bonus, I feel that since everyone is always talking about social media, and I'm also doing digital marketing, I feel that I'm going to add one more part, which how you tell your stories on social media. Because how you tell your stories in person, in writing, is different from how you tell your stories on social media as well. So we need to know the differences. If you know how to make the comparison and you can know how to tell social media, I can assure you, you will see a lot more success for your business. But before we continue, I want you guys to make sure you take lots of notes, send your questions to the chat, and keep an open mind about what I'm going to share with you guys. Now, look at these 3 gentlemen. If you know what's in common with them, what do you think is common among them, 3 of them? Maybe I want to see, do you know their names first, all the way to the left? Who's this gentleman on the left? I know almost everyone will be able to recognize the guy in the center, and the man that has popularized storytelling for everyone to grow one of the biggest companies in the world, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, a lot of famous storytellers, they look up to Steve Jobs because he grew the company and he presented iPhone with so much passion through stories that every time they launch a new product, Steve Jobs actually practices his speech over and over again, so that he needs to ensure that his stories really captivates the audience. And I also want to make the effort why I choose these guys as example, these gentlemen as example, is because when you can tell the right story, what you want to do is not just sell another item, sell another product, or sell another service. Why I chose Obama and Martin Luther King is because they are able to sell their vision, they're able to sell their beliefs and the mindset. Because that's the highest level of sales, not selling another item. When you can sell your belief, your vision, you capture the hearts of your consumer, and they are more likely to follow through with you with all your products and services. And that's what Steve Jobs has managed to done over and successfully. Look at iPhone. Recently, iPhone, they launched iPhone 12 without a charger, and yet the consumers are still waiting in line to get their hands on the latest iPhone. That just shows that Steve Jobs has successfully captured the hearts of the consumer, and it's not about selling another product. He sells his vision and beliefs. Same like Obama, same like Martin Luther King. When you can tell your stories well, you're going to capture the hearts of millions. Now, why tell stories? Why is it that we're going to use stories as our tool for success? Because it sticks to people's mind. I'm sure there are a lot of amazing stories in your mind that are centered around important events in your lives. And stories actually make people feel more relaxed. And when you tell stories to people to convey your idea, you are going to sound more human. You don't sound like you have an agenda. You're here to build a relationship. And if you can tell stories well, if you tell it well, most people have a story, but they don't put in the effort on telling it well. They just tell their stories randomly, or they just throw facts randomly. So the audience also are confused about what is it that you're trying to tell. And I've shown you earlier as well with stories that simple items that you bought for a low price, you can actually increase the perceived value because the audience now are able to be convinced about the value of your item or product and services. And lastly, with stories, you can address objections. So let's say the customer feels that this product is not suitable for them for whatever reason. With stories, you can actually use it to help educate them and tell them that, hey, you know what? This item or product is actually still suitable for you. And I'm going to give you an example. Can you listen to this story of another person who used your product? That's how stories work. Another reason is through stories, you actually can capture their attention. If you know in today's day and age, when you have their attention, you have their sales. And the longer you have their attention, the more sales you can generate. Look at Facebook, look at Instagram and all the famous social media platforms. What do you think they're trying to capture from you? It's still attention. And they're selling this attention that they have collected from you to other business owners. And these business owners are not buying another marketing space. They're trying to buy your attention so that they can push their products to you. Everybody is competing not just for sales, they want the attention first, because with attention, a lot of possibilities can happen. And stories is one of the important tools that you need to know to be able to capture and hold their attention. So let me show you an example of a story that's going to show you, that's going to capture your attention. So can you hear the sound?
No, we can't. It's mute, I think.
Let me see. Are you able to allow the sound on your end?
Give me a minute. Allow the sound on my end. Okay. Wait, give me a minute. I don't think so. There's no.
Let me try something. Give me a second, folks. Okay, I think this should work. Are you able to hear now?
No.
Oh, now I can't hear at all.
Yeah.
Let's give us one last try.
Okay, now I can hear.
Okay. So let's try whether we can hear the sound of the video. Can you hear now?
No.
Okay. Oh, it's all right. Maybe we use the subtitles first.
Okay. You have to share the video, I think.
Okay. Okay. I think there's an error in the video, but no worries. I'm gonna share with you guys what happened. In this video, what happened is it's a Nike advertisement, and they only show their Nike product very subtly, very little exposure of the actual product. And a lot of the times throughout this video was just the the niece and the auntie running back and forth trying to offer them the Chinese New Year envelope. And it is about a message that they're gonna show that it's about family values. They never say that how good their shoes are. They didn't say what materials their shoes is made from. They didn't tell them that, oh, this is the latest shoes that we're selling right now. None of that. And if you look at the top sports brands, that's what they're doing. Look at Nike, look at Adidas, Under Armour, all these brands, when they do their advertisements, when they want to talk to their audience, they don't just tell the audience that they got a new shoe. They don't just tell that they got a new sports equipment. They actually tell the audience that they this is the values. This is the kind of people we want to give our shoes to. This is what will happen when you buy our shoes. It's all about transformation. Most people, this is what happen when they start their business. They have a product, and they find someone, they look at the customer, and they tell everything to the customer about their product. They just tell the customer, this is the best product. I found this product recently, and you must buy the product. Why? Because it has this thing, that thing, that thing, that thing. And as a customer, most of them they don't like this because they don't understand what's the story behind this product. Why do you feel that this product is good for me? And most of them are stuck at this level, whereby imagine this example. Let's say you want to sell health products, and the health products, some of the features, it has vitamin D, antioxidant, and natural ingredients, as well as dissolves in water. So for most health product, if you tell them this is not enough to convince you, look at those famous pharmaceutical brands where they sell their health products. They don't tell them all the ingredients because that's not what people can understand, and that's not what really matters to the people. So some people, they go to the next level. They tell what are the benefits. So they will say, oh, this health product can help you relieve stress, better digestion, and strengthen joints. Now, this is good. It's a good progress from previously where you just list down all the ingredients. But it still doesn't convince you that this health product will change my life. That's why I'm not going to buy from you. Best is if you can show that the product can promise you a transformation. This is the highest level of result from storytelling, when you can guarantee the transformation to your customer. When they buy something from you, what will they experience? What problem are you able to solve? It's not about what are they going to get from you, not about how good your product are. It's like what are the results they can promise, and as a result of that, what kind of experience are they going to get? So imagine a man in the middle age. What kind of experience, what kind of problems he's facing? He probably is facing knee problem, back problem, digestion problem, and because of that problem, what is he not able to do? So most likely he's not able to spend more time with his kids. He's not able to spend time with his family, and he's always in pain. So when your product solves that problem, he has a quality time with his family, and that's a quality life as well. That's what you're trying to sell, and that's why your messaging can be more about family values. That is a story you want to tell. And the thing is, it's quite difficult to tell these kind of stories, and some of it may not work all the time. And some products, you need to have a very elaborate story. So the first and easiest story to tell is always your origin story. This is the story about your brand, your product, the very start of everything. So the hero journey story is the origin story. There are 5 steps to it: the backstory, the journey, the opportunity, the framework, and transformation. Whenever you want to tell people your origin story, you must remember these 5 things. So the backstory, right? How do you get involved with what you're doing? What problems you face?
What were you afraid of? What were you excited about? What were your past failures? That's what people want to hear. That's setting the tone so that people know that they can relate to you better. When you can share about your failures, you become much more relatable. Then tell people what made you want to start this journey. What was holding you back? What happened if you don't succeed? Share your thoughts now. What are your fears? And who showed you this new opportunity? What was this new realization? And what do you realize out of this opportunity? What new solution was the results, as well as all the success stories that you generated because of this origin? And lastly, the transformation. How do you change as a result of this journey? How do you change as a result of this product? That's part of your origin story. Now, most people, if you listen to Simon Sinek or a lot of famous speakers, they will ask you, why? Why do you start on this journey? And you must be able to tell your why very well. It's not just about telling them a series of information, not just about important facts and figures. That's not your why. The why always need one more special ingredient, and that ingredient is emotions. What kind of emotions are you feeling when you tell that story? What kind of emotion is always brought up when you're able to be vulnerable? When you can be vulnerable, you can show your flaws and weakness. People will look at you as someone who is confident rather than weak. They will look at you as someone who's confident. You are much more relatable. You are much more human. So when you tell your stories, don't be afraid to point out your flaws or your challenges or the problems that you face. Because if you hide everything and you only tell them the good parts only, people will think that you are faking it, whereby you're not telling them the full truth about your journey. Okay, remember, it's about your journey, not so much about your product. Your product can be good, but then your journey to discovering that product, you must share with them all the failures and struggles as well. Because your mess is your message. And the more vulnerable you are, the more you can show you're vulnerable, the more people will believe you. And people will take that as your message, and you can build your tribe of people who relate to you. And it will also ensure that you build instant credibility. Most of the great leaders, they actually build credibility not just through their vision, but also to show that what kind of struggles they face. They share about their struggles. Look at all your great leaders. They actually share about their journey, they growing up, what kind of childhood they face, what kind of things they faced when they were growing up. And that all help to connect with the common people and their customers so that they know, hey, this guy is just like me. He went through the same thing as me. So it's also possible that he knows how to help me. But there's 5 types of emotions I want to very quickly share with you so that you know what kind of things might actually fit your style. Number one is encouraging dreams. Whenever I tell story, some people, they will always try to motivate the people around them. They will encourage dreams. Some people, they will tell stories that actually say bad things about other people. So for example, Apple and Samsung. Whenever Samsung tell a story or they do any marketing, they will always make fun of Apple. Recently, if you look at Facebook or Instagram, Samsung actually made some posts to say that their latest phone actually comes with a charger. So it's about making fun, throw rocks at enemy. The only thing is that you cannot put them down too seriously. Make sure that when you do it in a light-hearted manner. Confirm suspicions, whereby you share about what are your thoughts or your concerns or your worries. You share about theories, what kind of research you've done. Make people curious. Justify failures. So this is my own personal favorite style, whereby I tell people that I'm going through challenges, I'm facing problems, I overcoming difficulties, and at the same time, at the end of my message, I tell people that if they are also facing failures, if they are also having problems in their life, I tell them that it's okay. It's okay to have failures. It's okay to face problems because we are all humans. We are also going through. We are not perfect. It's definitely that we will always have problems and failures in our lives. And I tell them that we are through this. We're going through this together. So that's justifying failures. And I feel that it's one of the most powerful method in making people feel relatable to you. Allay fears means tell people that everything is good. Don't need to worry, that you're always working hard to make sure that these problems won't affect your customers. Now, very straightforward, we're going to show you, you already know about origin story. I'm going to show you the story selling framework. You have to have your hook, which is the opening, your origin story, objection handling story, and your offer. So your hook is the starting before you even get into the story. How do you capture the attention? Earlier, I show you at the start of this presentation, I show you the horse mask to capture your attention. You guys were curious, why did I put a horse mask? And very quickly also, I shared my origin story about how I've traveled around to share stories. And throughout this presentation, I will show you how stories can handle objections through my own lessons. And the offer is just the conclusion. The same thing with your products. I already showed you how to do origin story. You're going to look at objection handling and offer. So how to hook your audience into the conversation? Very straightforward. You can start with stories as well. So I started with a story just now about Rob Walker and his experiment. You can start with a question. You can ask, how many of you here love or are afraid of public speaking? How many of you here have trouble telling stories? Or how many of you to get talk to your customers? So by asking questions, simple questions, you can actually generate conversation and draw them in to the conversation. You can also start with activity. How do I start with an activity? You can tell them, can you do this? Open your phone, Google storytelling, and see what are the results. That's an activity. You can use metaphors as well. It's like short stories or substitute for actual conversation. So these are very simple methods to capture the attention first. Now you already know the hook. What are the stories you tell? But before I tell you to start stories, most of us, when you need to tell a story, our mind goes blank. Why? Because we never made a conscious effort to collect stories into your mind. Why you need to make a conscious effort? Because storytelling is like a muscle. A muscle, you see. If you don't practice this muscle, you don't build and work on this muscle, when the chance comes for you to tell the story about your product or your brand, you are not going to be able to do it well because you don't practice that muscle. So one of the ways to practice this muscle is not just practice telling people the stories, but also to practice collecting stories. We have a lot of experience in our life. Some of you are entrepreneurs. Some of you have gone through a lot of amazing experiences in your lives. I'm sure there are a lot of key moments which has defined you as well. And I want you to try to make the conscious effort to write it down, these amazing moments in your life, which have shaped you, which have transformed you into the person you are today. It can be as simple as your conversation with the coffee person or someone you talk to at the bus on the way to work. It can be a conversation with your neighbor. It can be a conversation with your elderly or collect. As long as the message is clear to you, you learn something from that conversation. So once you collected all those stories, you need to start organizing them and organize them into 4 different stories. Origin story, which you already learned how to generate. The vehicle, internal belief, and external belief. Origin story, we are very familiar. I already shared at the earlier part, is about your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing your business? Why are you working here? Why are you doing what you do? People don't care about your what you're selling. They just want to know your why. Because most of my sales or most of my services that I've provided, it always started with they just want to know who I am and why am I doing what I am doing. That's all the conversation is. And through that alone, you can actually sell your brand and services. It's happened many times to me, and it's happened to many times to many other people as well. Look at Tesla, Elon Musk. His product didn't perform well when he revealed, but because he was so passionate about his vision, his why, people still believe and continue buying from him. Second is the vehicle. So you have a solution, you found the product which you think can change the world. People are still going to be skeptical. They are still going to doubt you that this is the solution for them, because they are probably curious. How is it that this guy suddenly found this idea, suddenly discovered this product? Did it drop from the sky? So you need to make that effort to tell them how you discovered that solution. You need to tell them whereby how you managed to organize your ideas, and it's not something that happened by accident where you woke up and then you had the idea. It was a journey where you had to go through many ups and downs before you finally discover that this this is the one that can help solve all problems. That is what the vehicle story. They want to know that journey. And then people are still going to be skeptical. They are still going to doubt you that this may or may not work. Because why? That they have internal limiting beliefs, because they feel that they are the problem. Whatever they are going through right now is going to stop them from achieving the success that you promise. For example, let's say you propose to them a weight loss program, and they probably they cannot go through the weight loss program because they've never exercised in their life. They probably think that they don't have the discipline. They think that they don't have the genes or the right condition for them to go through the program with the weight loss program. That is the internal belief. So what you have to do is to tell them a story of maybe a customer or your past case studies about someone else who faced the same internal problems. Probably they also had health problems, health issues, never exercised before, but they stuck through the program, they went through it all, and they had amazing results. That's your internal beliefs. And then comes the last part. Even after you tell them all these three components, they still want to find excuses. They still have objections about whether it can work for them or not. That's where you talk about it. They will start blaming outside. They will blame the weather. They will blame the transportation. They will say that they don't have the right equipment. They will find all sorts of things that is not within their control outside to say that they cannot go through the program. This is the hardest part. This is where you really need to think hardest. If they start blaming the weather, they start blaming they don't have the right equipment, they don't have access to maybe they cannot pay up for the fees. This is where you get to really creative. You tell them, okay, if you don't have the right, if the weather is not good, we can organize exercise at a sheltered area, aircon area, where you'll be comfortable to do your exercise. If you think that you don't have the right equipment, don't worry. We have prepared equipment for you to use during the session. If they say, oh, money is a problem, I don't have enough money, then you ask them, if money is not the problem, will you proceed with this purchase or to go through this program? If they say yes, then tell them, okay, let's try to figure out how can we actually raise the money for you. What can we do? Think of a solution together with them. This is the hardest level because you need to do a little bit more brainstorming to solve the problem. And it helps if you have case studies as well. But I feel external belief is usually about talking about things which are not within your control. So they will usually, if they can't, this is the last part. If you can convince them on this part, they are already all in on your solution. But this is usually the last part where make or break for the customer. And that's why you need to be confident. What you can do ahead is think about all the possible objections. Do an FAQ, do a survey, focus group, talk to a lot of people and propose them the same idea. Ask them, if I have this solution for you, why do you think you will not take it up? What's stopping you from taking up this solution? Organize all the objections, look at all the common objection, and then match the right story. Remember, you started a story bank. You have a story bank. You organize the stories, and you have your objections. You just do a mix and match. So you have this story for your internal belief. You have this story for your external belief. That's how it's going to work. So I will show you again. You have your hook, which realize something to capture their attention, captivate them. Your origin story, your objection handling stories, the 4 stories. And then finally, you tell them, I already shared everything with you. and this is how I'm going to solve the problem for you. I will make you an offer. Do you want to take this solution up for yourself to help solve your problem? Now, the last part, which is the bonus part, is telling stories on social media. Now, telling stories on social media is a bit of an art itself, whereby you need to know how to organize your stories better than telling it verbally in one single sitting or one single flow. And I broke it up into 6 parts, which I've experimented extensively. So, these 6 types of story I've been researching, I've been experimenting, and when I implement it, we realize that the results help to grow the presence very quickly. So they have your origin story. Again, you cannot run away from your origin story. People want to know your why, they want to know your mess, because your mess is your message. Next is your social proof. I think for every business, you must have some social proof, some case studies. Teasers. I will show you what teasers. Objection handling stories, which are the 3 stories I asked you to prepare. Your actual launch, tell them that this is the product. Anybody is interested in this product or program or service. And lastly, follow up, whereby you say, we launched, it was a great success. These are the kind of people who joined us. So I did a quick experiment on myself in 1 month. So I started with my origin story in July, and it went really viral. There were a lot of people commenting. I shared about my failure during my first ever program, where I had 0 people joining my session. And it went crazy because people keep commenting even till today. And I share in groups and communities as well. I want to inspire people. And the only way I can inspire people is by showing them my vulnerability. After that, I started to share more valuable content on social media. People started to text me personally and tell them that they love my content. They tell me that it has helped them, help inspire them to take action. So this is the social proof. Next is you must think of objection handling stories, lessons, solution. You can tell them 3 tips to become a great speaker. 3 tips to gain weight is 3 tips to lose weight. 3 tips to a healthier lifestyle. 3 tips to saving money. That's what I keep doing. 3 tips because it's easier to understand. But you can have your own way as well. Share them in very organized manner, very easy to consume on social media. It can be Facebook, it can be Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. A lot of big brands, a lot of entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, they started with this foundation of solving problems online first. So they will go to communities, they will talk to people. People will always talk about their problems, and you propose a solution, you share with them the solution. 2 things will happen. The person will appreciate you taking the time to solve their problem. Second thing, the people around them will see that you have the right knowledge and skill set to help solve the problem. So it's really a compounding effect. When you do it often enough, people start to take notice of your ability to solve that problem, and they're going to identify you as the person who solves problem for that particular industry. And then once you have built help enough, you can look at teaser or excitement, or you tell them, I've been working on this for a while, and I think I'm going to come up with a product or program for people who are facing this problem. More details will come soon. Teaser excitement will just keep them anticipating that you have something that can help them in the future. And then this was the end result. One of it was I was invited to share about building presence online for one of Brunei government organization, and I did a follow up as well for one of my programs with another Brunei organization as well, with another team, just to share with people. We conducted this program successfully, so that people will know that, hey, so I missed everything, and I actually didn't get to join the program. And there's this fear of missing out as well. You created this fear of missing out when you do a follow up. People will see, oh, it looks like a very successful program. It looks like a great launch, and I want to be notified for the next launch again. That's the purpose of a follow up, and also to educate people about your stories again, how the whole experience has been. So those are the 6 stories. And we've come to the close, the three components that you need to know. What you need to do is always sell transformation. Don't tell people about the features. They can read the features themselves. They are not interested as well. You remember Coca-Cola? Look at all Coca-Cola advertisement. They don't tell you what are the ingredients. Very rarely they tell you the ingredients. But they will show you, like, when you buy a bottle of Coca-Cola, you're part of a tribe. You're part of an experience. You're going through an experience of transformation. Share your origin story. Your mess is your message. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable. A lot of people, a lot of business owners, they are afraid to show their vulnerability because they feel that their customers might run away if they show that they are facing problems or challenges. Now, I'm not telling you that if you are facing all your challenges, you want to list them all down on social media. Sharing your vulnerability, showing your vulnerability is a bit of an art itself. How do you do it? Let's say on a personal level, as an individual, you have no business, you don't have a product, everything, you want to show your vulnerability. How do you do that? Something happens to you, a major crisis happened in your life. And what happens is that it has really affected your mood, affected your mind, and you can't really process. If you go and share whatever you're experiencing on social media immediately, what will happen is that your thoughts are still unfiltered and it's going to affect other people's mood as well. What you want to do is reflect on the thoughts for 2-3 days. Try to find the silver lining. What is the lesson that I can learn from this experience? And then you share with your community, share on social media. Because there's a good and bad, it's balanced out and it inspires people to follow you. Stories that handle objection. Remember that people are always looking for excuses. Be ready with stories that can handle the excuses. Talk to as many customers as possible. Ask them what were the problems that they are facing before they took on your product. And again, about stories or case studies, some people, they feel that they are the best case studies. The truth is, we are not the best case study. If I tell people that you can be a great speaker because I became a great speaker as well, and I follow the XYZ method, people are not going to believe me because they will say that, oh, of course you're going to say that the XYZ method works because you are special. You are from this, you're from that. They'll find tons of excuses. What you need to find is a neutral person, someone who's totally not from your circle, and they go through your XYZ method. It's much more relatable. And lastly, please start a story bank. Stories doesn't happen magically. All those great speakers that you've seen, they don't think about stories just like that. It doesn't magically appear in their mind. They actually repeat stories over and over and over again, hundreds of times until it's ingrained in their minds. That only difference is how they tell it. But it's the same story over and over again. Look at Steve Jobs, look at Martin Luther King, look at maybe even Donald Trump and Biden. They share the same stories over and over again. They go to the next state, they share the same story, same state. So over and again, what you want to do is have enough. Not say you need to 20, 30 stories, maybe 5 to 6 stories is enough for you to keep you going for a long time. Very simple. I want to do this just to keep things a little bit fresh. Let's see if you guys can answer me. What is the most important kind of story?
You can type in the chat.
You can vote in the chat 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Origin story.
Yep. The answer is origin story. Remember, if you forget everything today, or you really cannot think of stories that are interesting enough, just tell people why you are doing what you're doing. You can never go wrong with origin story. It's one of the easiest and yet the most powerful. What must your story sell? Emotion, transformation.
Yeah.
Okay, it's always going to be transformation. How did their life change because of you or your product? Emotion is just the tool that you're going to use to communicate the story. Never always tell the feature because people can read the features on their own. Benefits is still possible, is still acceptable, but never settle for features and always strive to tell a story about transformation. Look at all the great leaders like Obama during his presidential election. He talked about change. He did not say what policy he want to implement. He did not say what when he want to implement the policy. He just tell them the transformation about how America will change if he is voted in.
Oh, one. Yeah, this is quite.
So yes, this is the flow.
Yeah.
It has worked. It's very simple. There's nothing fancy about this flow as well. You share your origin story. You show the proof of results of how you have helped your customers, testimonial. You tell people a little bit about what you're planning in the future. You share value. You add value to other people, and then you launch and do a follow up. So that's the end of my conversation with how storytelling can attract customers for you. And this is how I want you to help spread the word about storytelling. You can share one thing that you've learned and tag me any of the platforms that will help a lot in spreading the message and motivate more people to come forward to take up this kind of knowledge to help them as well. That's the purpose of sharing.
Yep. Thank you, Imran.
All right.
Yeah, that's a very educative uh, screen. Actually, I think one of it is that I think the reason is the Pepsi-Cola. They come up
Ah,
with the no, 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 which is the quite interesting. No to black. Uh, so it's something very interesting. Yeah, that captured attention. So they also didn't actually they are selling the product of no sugar.
ah,
Yep. So that's something that is interesting also. So it's also telling a story, but they didn't actually uh, say that it's no sugar. Yeah. So I think it's something great that story tell 100 words rather than you read it. Yeah. So thank you for the very speech and the course, and hopefully we can have you back in our webinar again. Yep. As for rest, thank you for attending. We hope you have enjoyed the webinar, and we hope you will be back. Okay, next week. As for next week, our upcoming webinar will be on winning USP. So, what's your unique selling point and how to stand out from the crowd? So, we hope to see you back here same time next week. Yep. Thank you.
thanks.
Yep.
Let's
Thank you.
see you all again. Stay connected
Yep.
and enjoy your weekend.
Yep. Enjoy your weekend. Yep. Okay. I will catch up with you. Yep.
Okay.
I'll end this webinar. Thank you very
All
much.
right.
See you. Bye.
Bye.